closet. Muffled. Desperate. Someone trying not to be heard but failing. He pulled his gun. Approached slowly. Opened the door. Found his housemaid crouched between suits that cost more than she made in a month. Maria Santos, 28. Been working in his mansion for 6 months. Quiet. Efficient. Invisible the way good staff were supposed to be. Now she was curled in a ball behind his winter coats. Face streaked with blood and tears. Hands shaking. Eyes wide with terror that doubled when she saw him. Saw the gun. Saw her employer discovering her hiding like a wounded animal in his personal space. Please. Her voice broke. Please don't tell them I'm here. Please. I'll leave. I'll disappear. Just don't tell them. Don't let them find me. She was begging. Trembling. Looking at Dante like he was death itself. He lowered the gun. Holstered it. Who? His voice was controlled. Careful. Who am I not telling? Who's looking for you? Maria flinched at the question. Started crying harder. Blood was running from a cut above her eyebrow. Fresh. Recent. Someone had hit her. In his house. On his property. While she was working for him. The violation made Dante's blood pressure spike. Made his jaw clench. Made every protective instinct he'd inherited from his father and grandfather activate simultaneously. Maria tried to stand. Stumbled. He caught her automatically. Steadied her. She jerked away from his touch. Terrified of contact. Of men. Of him specifically. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know where else to hide. I saw your closet. Thought maybe you wouldn't look here. Wouldn't dare. Because of who you are. She was babbling. Words tumbling over each other. Making partial sense. Someone was hunting her. Someone she feared more than she feared Dante. That took serious danger. Dante Russo's reputation wasn't gentle. Wasn't kind. Was built on violence and control and the absolute certainty that crossing him meant consequences measured in blood and screaming. Before we continue, I need you to understand, because you're about to see the most unexpected response ever. This maid is hiding from a threat in a mafia boss's closet, and what he does next will restore your faith that good men still exist, even in dark places. Hit you in the best way. You need to see what happens. Let's go. Who's looking for you? Dante repeated the question. Gentler this time, using the voice he reserved for victims. For witnesses. For people who needed to trust him enough to talk. Maria's breathing was ragged. Panicked. My ex-husband. Jason. He's here. In your house. Told the security he's my brother. That there's a family emergency. That I need to come with him. But he's lying. He's not my brother. She couldn't finish. Started hyperventilating. Dante's mind processed this rapidly. His security had let someone in. Someone claiming to be family. Someone who'd gotten close enough to hurt her. To make her bleed. To make her hide in terror. The failure was unacceptable. The breach was personal. Nobody entered Dante Russo's home without permission. Nobody touched his staff without consequences. Nobody hurt women under his protection without learning exactly why that was a fatal mistake. Stay here. Dante's command was absolute. Don't move. Don't make a sound. I'm handling this. He left the closet, pulled his phone, called security, who let someone in claiming to be Maria Santos's brother. The guard's response came back uncertain. Confused. A Jason Santos. Said there was an emergency. Had ID showing the same last name. Said Maria was expecting him. Dante's voice went cold. She's not expecting him. She's hiding from him. He's not her brother. He's her ex-husband. And he hit her. Find him. Hold him. I'm coming down. The guard started to protest. Stopped when he processed who he was talking to. What the tone meant. Yes, boss. Right away. The line went dead. Dante turned back to the closet. Maria was exactly where he'd left her. Still terrified. Still bleeding. Still looking at him like he might kill her or save her, and she didn't know which was more likely. He's not going to touch you again. Dante made a promise. A vow. The kind he'd killed to keep before. Maria's expression showed disbelief. You don't understand. He won't stop. He never stops. I've tried everything. Restraining orders. Moving. Changing my name. He always finds me. Always. Her despair was absolute. Lived in. The kind that came from years of running. Years of being caught. Years of learning that safety was temporary and violence was inevitable. Dante understood that despair. Had seen it before, in his sister's eyes, before she'd put a bullet in her own husband, before Dante had helped her bury the body, before they'd sworn together that no man in their family would ever raise a hand to a woman. That protection wasn't optional, was fundamental, was the line between being powerful and being evil. How long has he been hunting you? Dante needed information, needed to understand scope, needed to know what he was dealing with. Maria's answer came out broken. 3 years. Since the divorce. Since I got away the first time. He has connections, money, resources. I've been to 5 shelters, 8 different cities, 12 jobs. He finds me every time, beats me, drags me back. I got away again 6 months ago. Came here, thought working for you. Thought maybe your reputation would keep him away, would make me too dangerous to touch. She laughed bitterly. Didn't work. He's here anyway. Dante processed this. 3 years of running. 3 years of being hunted. 3 years of this woman living in terror while working in his house. Cleaning his rooms. Doing her job while constantly looking over her shoulder. He hadn't noticed. Hadn't seen. Had been too focused on his business. His operations. His empire. Had missed that one of his employees was dying slowly from fear. Does he have connections to families? Dante needed to know if this was mob-related. If Jason had protection, had allies that would complicate elimination. Maria shook her head. No, he has money. His family owns car dealerships, has friends in the police, has lawyers, has enough power to make my restraining orders disappear, to make complaints vanish, to make me look crazy when I report him. But he's not like you, not connected to your world. The clarification was important. Meant Jason was civilian. Meant he had no protection that mattered. Meant Dante could move without political complications, without starting wars, without negotiating, could just eliminate a problem the way problems should be eliminated. Permanently, thoroughly, without witnesses. Dante's phone buzzed. Text from security. We have him. Detained in the East Parlor. Getting aggressive. Demanding to see his sister. Threatening lawsuits. Dante responded. Hold him. I'm coming. Don't let him leave. Don't let him make calls. This is containment until I arrive. He pocketed his phone. Looked at Maria. I'm going to deal with this. With him. You're staying here. In my closet. In my room. Safest place in this house. No one enters without my permission. No one. When I come back, we're moving you somewhere more secure. Somewhere permanent. You're done running. Done hiding. Done being afraid. Understand. Maria stared at him like he was speaking another language. Like protection was a concept she'd forgotten existed. Like safety was mythology, not reality. Why? Her voice was barely audible. Why would you help me? I'm nobody. Just your maid. Just. Dante cut her off. You work for me. That makes you mine to protect. And I don't let anyone hurt what's mine. Ever. He left before she could respond. Before the emotion in her eyes could make him do something stupid like promise more than protection. Like acknowledge that finding her bleeding in his closet had triggered something in him. Something beyond professional obligation. Something that looked like the fury he'd felt finding his sister with a broken jaw. The same fury that had made him help her kill. That had made him swear no woman would suffer like that again. Not on his watch. Not in his territory. Not ever. He took the stairs down. Controlled. Focused. The East Parlor was designed for receiving guests. For conducting polite business. For maintaining appearances. Jason Santos had no idea how inappropriate his location was. How offensive his presence. How final this meeting would be. Security had Jason cornered. 3 guards. All armed. All tense. Jason was exactly what Dante expected. Mid-30s. Expensive casual wear. Entitled posture. The kind of man who'd never faced real consequences. Who'd bought his way out of problems. Who thought money and connections made him untouchable. He turned when Dante entered. Attempted authority. Attempted indignation. Attempted to dominate the situation. I demand to know why I'm being held. I came to collect my sister. There's a family emergency. This is kidnapping. I'll have lawyers here in Dante interrupted. You're not her brother. You're her ex-husband. You have a restraining order. You violated it by coming here, by entering my property, by touching my employee. Jason's face showed surprise. Calculation. Trying to determine how much Dante knew, how much danger he was in. Fell back on his usual strategy. Lies wrapped in plausible deniability. I don't know what Maria told you, but she's not well. She has issues. Makes up stories. The restraining order was her idea. Part of her delusions. I'm just trying to help her. Trying to get her the treatment she needs. His performance was practiced. Convincing probably to people who didn't know better. Dante knew better. Had seen this exact manipulation before. The gaslighting. The framing of the victim as unstable. The appropriation of concern. The weaponization of mental health stigma. His sister's husband had used the same tactics. Had almost worked until Dante had seen the bruises. Had heard her real story. Had learned to recognize the pattern. You hit her. Dante stated it flatly. She's bleeding. Has a fresh cut. In my house. On my property. While under my protection. Jason started to deny. Dante held up a hand. Silence. I'm not interested in your lies. Not interested in your explanations. Not interested in anything except making sure you never touch her again. Jason's demeanor shifted. From faux concern to threat. From manipulation to intimidation. You don't know who you're dealing with. My family has connections. Has lawyers. Has friends in law enforcement. You can't just. Dante laughed. Sharp. Cold. Without humor. You think your car dealership family scares me. You think your bought cops matter. You think lawyers will protect you from me. Let me clarify something. I'm Dante Russo. I don't negotiate with men who beat women. I don't compromise with stalkers. I eliminate problems. Permanently. Jason's face went pale. Recognition finally hitting. Understanding who he'd walked into confronting. What mistake he'd made. What consequences were coming. He tried to backtrack. Tried to leave. Security blocked the doors. Trapped him. Made him understand his situation. Made him feel the helplessness Maria had felt. The terror. The knowledge that escape wasn't possible. That this man was going to hurt him and no one would stop it. What are you going to do? Jason's voice cracked. Fear, overwhelming bravado. Dante's smile was predatory. I'm going to make sure you never look for Maria again. Never think about her. Never remember she exists. And if you're very unlucky, you'll survive the lesson. He nodded to security. Take him to the warehouse. The one we use for permanent lessons. Make sure he understands exactly how permanent I mean. Jason started screaming. Started fighting. Got subdued quickly. Professionally. Dragged out through a service exit where no other staff would see. Where his protests wouldn't disturb anyone. Where his terror was private. Contained. Appropriate. Dante watched him disappear. Felt nothing. No guilt. No hesitation. No question about whether this was right. Men who hurt women didn't deserve mercy. Didn't deserve second chances. Deserved exactly what Jason was about to experience. He returned to his room. To the closet. Maria was exactly where he'd left her. Still crying. Still bleeding. Still terrified but starting to hope. Starting to believe maybe this time was different. Maybe this man was different. Maybe protection was real. Dante knelt beside her. Careful. Gentle. Making himself small. Non-threatening. It's done. He's gone. He won't hurt you again. Won't look for you again. Won't exist in your life again. You're safe. Maria looked at him with eyes that wanted to believe. That were afraid to believe. That had been disappointed too many times. What did you do? What happens when he comes back? Dante's answer was simple. Final. Absolute. He's not coming back. Trust me. The implication hung between them. Clear without details. Maria understood. Saw what Dante was offering. What he'd done. What he would continue doing. She should have been horrified. Should have been appalled. Instead, she collapsed against him. Sobbing. Clinging to his shirt. Releasing 3 years of terror. 3 years of running. 3 years of believing safety was impossible. Dante held her. Let her break. Let her grieve. Let her start healing. This was protection. Real protection. The kind that required violence. Required permanence. Required crossing lines civilized people pretended didn't need crossing. Maria didn't know how long she cried. Time dissolved. Became meaningless. Just existed in this moment where Dante Russo held her while she broke apart. His hands were steady, patient, one around her shoulders, one carefully avoiding her injuries. He didn't speak, didn't offer empty platitudes, didn't tell her everything would be okay, just provided solid presence. Anchor in storm that had lasted 3 years. Finally, her sobs quieted, breathing steadied. She pulled back, embarrassed, horrified at her unprofessionalism, at collapsing on her employer, at bleeding on his probably $1,000 shirt. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. I didn't mean to. Dante stood, offered his hand. Help her up. You have nothing to apologize for. Come on. You need medical attention. A proper room. Safety that isn't a closet. She took his hand, let him guide her out. Down hallways she'd cleaned 100 times, but never walked beside him. Never as someone worthy of his attention instead of invisible labor. He led her to a guest suite. 3rd floor. 2 doors from his own bedroom. The room was bigger than her entire apartment. Had belonged to. Bed that could fit 4 people. Bathroom with marble everything. Windows overlooking gardens she'd never been allowed to enjoy. Security camera visible in corner. Dante noticed her looking. That's connected to my personal system. I'll know if anyone comes near this room. You're safe here. More than safe. Protected. He gestured toward the bathroom. Clean up. I'm calling my doctor. Private. Discreet. He'll check that cut. Make sure you're okay. Maria started to protest cost. Dante cut her off with a look. Non-negotiable. You work for me. That makes your health my responsibility. The doctor arrived within 30 minutes. Older man. Professional. Asked no questions about how she got hurt. Just examined. Cleaned wounds. Declared nothing needing stitches, but watched for concussion symptoms. Left medication. Left instructions. Left without ever meeting Maria's eyes. Trained to forget faces. Forget circumstances. Forget everything except medical facts. After he left, Dante returned. Had changed shirts. This one equally expensive. Equally tailored. Brought food. Real food. Not staff meals. The kind served to his actual guests. Sit. Eat. You need strength. Maria obeyed. Realized she was starving. Hadn't eaten since morning. Too anxious. Too focused on work. Too busy being hunted to maintain basic self-care. The food was incredible. Made her want to cry again for different reasons. For this small kindness. For being treated like she mattered. Dante sat across from her. Watching. Calculating. His phone buzzed constantly. He checked each message. Frowned. His expression darkening with each update. What? Maria needed to know. What's wrong? What did you find? Dante looked at her. Debated whether to share. Decided honesty mattered more than protection from truth. My people are investigating Jason. Finding things. Bad things. He's worse than you knew. Worse than stalking. Worse than abuse. Maria's stomach dropped. Worse how? Worse in ways that made her wonder how she'd survive it all. Dante pulled out his phone. Showed her a file his people had compiled. 3 hours of work. 3 hours of digging into Jason Santos's past. Finding things police had missed. Or ignored. Or been paid to bury. 2 ex-girlfriends before Maria. Both had restraining orders. Both withdrew them suddenly. Both moved out of state. One was found dead 6 months later. Ruled suicide. Overdose. But timing was suspicious. Circumstances questionable. The other was in psychiatric care. Permanent commitment. Diagnosed with severe PTSD and dissociative disorder. Claimed Jason had tortured her. Driven her insane deliberately. No one believed her. Maria felt bile rising. She'd known Jason was dangerous. Hadn't known he was a killer. Hadn't known she was lucky number 3. That survival made her an anomaly, not the norm. How am I still? She couldn't finish. Couldn't articulate the horror of realizing she'd been living on borrowed time. That every escape had been luck. That Jason had let her run because hunting was part of the game. Dante's expression was grim. You're stronger than his previous victims. Fought back more. Made it harder. Maybe that's why he's obsessed. Why he won't let go. You're the one who got away. The one who said no. The one who survived his worst. That challenges his ego. Makes you essential to reclaim. To break. To destroy. The psychology was twisted. Made sense. Made Maria understand why shelters hadn't worked. Why running hadn't worked. Why nothing had worked. Jason wasn't just abusive. Was predator. Was serial abuser. was probably serial killer, and she'd married him, had loved him once, had believed his charm, his promises, his lies. Dante's phone buzzed again. He read the message, cursed quietly. What? Maria's fear was returning, climbing her spine, making breathing difficult. They found him. Jason. He's at a hotel downtown. Has weapons. Has surveillance equipment. Has photos of you. Of his house. Of your routines. He's been watching. Planning. This was an impulse. Was calculated. Was coordinated. Was attempt to take you that almost worked. If you hadn't hidden. If he'd found you before I did. Dante didn't finish. Didn't need to. Maria understood. She'd be gone. Be another statistic. Another woman who disappeared. Another case that went cold. Another victim no one remembered. Her hands started shaking. Tremors she couldn't control. Dante noticed. Moved to sit beside her. Not touching. Just present. Close. Available. You're safe. I promise you that. I don't break promises. Especially not about protection. Night fell. Maria couldn't sleep. Kept replaying everything. The closet. The blood. Dante's intervention. The revelations about Jason. The reality that she'd been closer to death than she'd known. She wandered to her door. Opened it slightly. Saw light under Dante's door. He wasn't sleeping either. She shouldn't disturb him. Shouldn't impose. Shouldn't treat him like friend instead of employer. But fear was overwhelming. Isolation was crushing. She knocked. Soft. Hesitant. Come in. His voice was immediate. Alert. She entered. Found him at a desk. Paper spread. Working. Planning. He looked up. Took in her fear. Her trembling. Can't sleep. It wasn't a question. She shook her head. He gestured to a chair. Sit. Talk. Sometimes that helps. She sat. Started talking. Told him everything. The whole story. Meeting Jason. The courtship. The marriage. The first time he hit her. The pattern. The escalation. The divorce. The hunting. Every failed escape. Every beating. Every moment of terror. Everything. Dante listened. Really listened. Didn't interrupt. Didn't judge. Didn't offer solutions. Just absorbed her story. When she finished, he was quiet. Then, I had a sister. Elena. She married young. Seemed happy. Was happy at first. Then, he paused. Gathering words. Or courage. Or both. Then her husband started hitting her. Started controlling her. Started isolating her. I didn't see it. Didn't notice. Was too focused on business. On building empire. On being powerful. Missed that she was dying in front of me. By the time I found out. By the time she told me. It was too late. He'd broken her so thoroughly she couldn't leave. Couldn't imagine escape. Couldn't believe safety existed. The pain in his voice was raw. Real. Old wound that never healed. What happened? Maria needed to know. Needed to understand why he'd reacted so strongly to finding her. Why protection seemed personal, not professional. She killed him. Dante's answer was simple. Final. Put a bullet in his head while he slept. Called me. I helped her cover it. Made it look like home invasion. Made sure she'd never face consequences. Thought that would fix her. Thought eliminating him would bring her back. It didn't. She'd been broken too long. Too thoroughly. Killed herself 6 months later. Pills. Quiet. Peaceful. Left note saying she couldn't live with what she'd become. What he'd made her. I failed her. Was too late. Too blind. Too arrogant. Thought power meant I could protect my family. Learned it meant nothing if I didn't pay attention. If I didn't see what was right in front of me. Since then. Since her. I don't miss signs. Don't ignore abuse. Don't let women suffer if I can stop it. Elena's death taught me that power without purpose is just violence. That protection has to be active. Has to be vigilant. Has to matter. The confession was devastating. Explained everything. Why he'd held her in closet. Why he'd eliminated Jason without hesitation. Why protection seemed sacred, not convenient. I'm sorry. Maria's words fell inadequate. Insufficient. But necessary. For his loss. His pain. His sister who deserved better. Deserved earlier intervention. Deserved a brother who'd noticed before it was too late. Dante shook his head. Don't be. Elena's story isn't finished. Lives on every time I stop another man like her husband. Every time I protect another woman. Every time I refuse to look away. You're not just my employee. You're a continuation of her legacy. Proof that this time I paid attention. This time I intervened. This time I saved someone. The weight of that statement hung between them. Made Maria understand she wasn't just person being protected. Was symbol. Was redemption. Was Dante's second chance to do what he'd failed to do for Elena. Should have felt like pressure. Felt like purpose instead. They talked until dawn. About abuse. About survival. About the failure of systems designed to protect, but actually abandoning victims. About how money and connections made abusers untouchable. About how isolation was a weapon. About how hope died slowly then all at once. About everything. Somewhere in those hours, Maria stopped seeing Dante as terrifying mafia boss. Started seeing him as man shaped by loss, by guilt, by determination to be different, better, protective in ways that mattered. He stopped seeing her as victim, started seeing her as survivor, as someone who'd endured hell and emerged intact, damaged but not destroyed, scared but not broken. The shift was subtle, profound, changed everything, made proximity feel different, made protection feel personal, made the space between them charged with something neither would name, but both recognized. 3 days passed. Maria stayed in guest suite, ventured out only with security. Dante's orders, non-negotiable. She didn't argue. Understood the threat. Understood Jason wouldn't stop, would escalate, would become more dangerous the longer he went without access. Dante's men watched the hotel, watched Jason, reported movements, patterns, plans. He was preparing, gathering materials, contacting people, building towards something, probably assault on mansion, probably attempt to breach security, probably suicide mission disguised as rescue. Maria felt it coming, felt the inevitability, the tension building toward explosion. She found Dante in his office. Interrupted meeting with lieutenants. They need to leave. All of them. I need to talk to you. Alone. Dante studied her face. Dismissed his men without question. What's wrong? What happened? Nothing happened. That's the problem. We're waiting. Jason's planning. Building toward attack. When it comes, people will die. Your men. Maybe you. Maybe me. We need to end this now. On our terms. Not his. Dante's expression showed he'd been thinking the same thing. Already a plan forming. How? How do we end it without giving him what he wants? Without putting you at risk? Maria took a breath. Steadied herself. You use me as bait. Let him think he's found opening. Let him make his move. Then end him. Permanently. Completely. No more threat. No more hunting. No more fear. Dante was already shaking his head. No. Absolutely not. Not risking you. Not putting you in his path. Not negotiable. Maria moved closer, invaded his space, made him look at her, see her determination. It's the only way. He won't stop, won't give up, won't move on. Eventually he'll get through. Eventually someone will make mistake. Eventually he'll reach me. Better to control when and how. Better to choose battlefield. Better to end it while we have advantage. Dante wanted to argue, wanted to refuse, wanted to protect her from herself, but recognized truth when he heard it. Recognized that passivity meant eventual failure. That offense was better than defense. That ending Jason required risk, required bait, required Maria's cooperation. I hate this. Every part of this. Putting you in danger goes against every instinct, against everything I promised. Maria understood, appreciated it. I'm already in danger. Have been for 3 years. This is just choosing how to face it, choosing to fight back instead of hide, choosing to end it instead of endure it. You've given me safety. Now, give me agency. Let me help kill the monster. Let me be part of my own rescue. The conviction in her voice was absolute, unshakable. Dante recognized it because he'd heard it before, in Elena's voice, the night she called him, the night she needed help covering murder, the night she'd finally fought back. He'd honored Elena's choice then, had to honor Maria's now. Fine, but we do this my way. Complete control. You follow every instruction. You wear wire. You have panic button. You're never truly alone with him. My men are everywhere. Any sign of real danger we extract you. No heroics. No improvisation. Just bait and trap. Understood. Maria nodded. Understood. When? When do we do this? Dante's smile was cold. Predatory. Strategic. Tomorrow night. I'll leak information. Make it look like security gap. Make it look like you'll be vulnerable. He'll take the bait. We'll come. We'll walk in a trap, thinking he's hunting. Won't realize he's prey until it's too late. Maria felt fear mixing with relief, with anticipation, with something that might have been bloodlust. Tomorrow she'd face Jason, would look in his eyes, would watch him realize he'd lost, that she'd won, that his hunting was over, that his life was ending. The prospect should have horrified her, should have triggered her conscience, her morality. Instead, it felt like justice, like closure, like the only possible ending to 3 years of terror. She was done running, done hiding, done being afraid. Tomorrow she became hunter. Tomorrow Jason Santos learned what it meant to chase the wrong woman. Tomorrow ended with blood and freedom, with death and rebirth, with Maria Santos finally safe. The trap was set. Maria stood in the garden, visible from the street. Security deliberately thinned, creating the illusion of vulnerability, of opportunity, of mistake. She wore a wire, had panic button in her pocket. Knew Dante's men were everywhere. Invisible, armed, waiting. But knowing didn't stop the fear, didn't stop her hands from shaking, didn't stop the nausea rising every time she thought about seeing Jason again, about being bait, about trusting that rescue would come before he could hurt her. Dante's voice came through the earpiece. Calm, steady. I see you. You're not alone. He's 2 blocks away. Coming fast. 3 vehicles. That's more than we expected. Stay calm. Follow the plan. She acknowledged with a subtle nod. Kept her breathing even. Kept moving through the garden like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't being hunted. Like this was normal evening, not carefully orchestrated trap. Jason's car screeched to a stop outside the gates. He emerged. But he wasn't alone. 6 men with him. Armed. Professional. Not friends or family. Mercenaries. Hired security. People with military training and no moral complications about violence. Dante cursed through the earpiece. He brought a team. This is worse than anticipated. Abort. Maria, come inside now. She didn't move. Couldn't abort. Not when they were this close. Not when Jason was this close to being ended. She kept walking. Kept playing oblivious. Jason spotted her. His face transformed. Rage, possession, obsession, all visible even from distance. Maria. His voice carried across the garden. Come here. Now. We're leaving. You made me do terrible things. Made me hire these people. Made me plan this assault. All because you wouldn't come home. Wouldn't remember your place. His delusion was complete. Believed she'd forced him. Believed his violence was her fault. Believed he was victim, not monster. Dante's men moved. Emerged from positions. Surrounded Jason's team. But the mercenaries were ready. Were expecting ambush. Opened fire immediately. Professional. Coordinated. Trained. Gunfight erupted. Chaos. Screaming. Glass shattering. Maria dropped. Covered her head. Training Dante had insisted on. Training she'd resisted. Training that might save her life. Dante was running. She heard him through earpiece. Breathing hard. Barking orders. Coordinating defense. Get her to panic room. Now. 2 men materialized beside Maria. Grabbed her. Started dragging her toward the house. She fought to see. To track Jason. To know where he was. Saw him pushing through the fight. Ignoring his own men dying. Ignoring Dante's security. Focused only on her. Only on reaching her. Only on reclaiming what he believed he owned. They got her inside. Down hallway. Toward panic room. State-of-art bunker. Impenetrable. Safe. But Jason was close. Too close. Had broken through somehow. Was in the house. Was following. Was gaining. They shoved her into the panic room. Sealed the door. Left her alone in bulletproof silence. She could hear nothing. See nothing. Had only the earpiece connecting her to outside. To Dante. To reality. His voice was strained. Furious. He's in the house. Heading toward you. I'm coming. Hold position. Don't open that door for anyone except me. Maria pressed herself against the wall. Away from the door. Watching it like it might explode. Might melt. Might cease being barrier between her and Jason. Minutes passed. Felt like hours. Then pounding. Jason's voice, muffled through steel. Open this door. Open it now, or I start killing staff. Start with the ones you liked. The ones who were kind to you. Their blood is on your hands. The manipulation was classic, making her responsible for his violence, making her believe she could stop it by surrendering. She didn't respond, didn't move, trusted Dante, trusted the door, trusted that rescue was coming. More pounding, more threats, then silence. Worse than noise, worse than threats. Silence meant something had changed, meant Jason was trying something else, meant the door might not hold. She gripped the panic button, finger hovering, ready to signal, ready to scream for help, ready to abandon the plan if necessary. The door didn't open, but she heard fighting. Close. Right outside. Grunts. Impacts. Gunshots. Then Dante's voice. Through the door, not the earpiece. Maria, it's me. Open up. She rushed to the control panel, pressed her palm to the scanner. Door unsealed. Slid open. Revealed Dante. Bloodied. Breathing hard. Gun drawn. Behind him Jason. On the floor. Bleeding from shoulder. One of Dante's men holding him down. Other mercenaries dead or captured throughout the house. The assault was over. The trap had worked. Jason was caught. Maria stepped out. Looked down at Jason. At the man who'd terrorized her for 3 years. Who'd killed others. Who'd hunted her across states. Who'd broken into a Mafia boss's mansion because obsession overrode survival instinct. He looked smaller now. Less terrifying. Just a man. Just a predator caught. Just a monster that had lost. You're done. Her voice was steady. Stronger than she felt. You're finished hunting. Finished hurting. Finished existing in my life. Jason tried to lunge. Got slammed back down. Pain making him cry out. Pathetic. Weak. Everything he'd made her feel. Now reflected back. You're mine. His voice was desperate. We're meant to be together. You made vows. You belong to me. The delusion was absolute. Unshakable even now. Even defeated. Even facing death or prison. He still believed she was his possession. His property. His right. Dante looked at Maria. Your choice. His death or the justice system. I can make either happen. Choose what gives you peace. The offer was genuine. Serious. He'd kill Jason if she wanted. We'll make it clean. Would make it disappear. Would ensure Jason never threatened anyone again. Or would gather evidence. Would use connections. Would ensure prosecution. Would let the system handle it, however imperfectly. Maria looked at Jason. Thought about 3 years. Thought about his other victims. Thought about the woman who'd killed herself. The woman in psychiatric care. Thought about who she wanted to be. What choice defined her. Prison. She made the decision. Let him rot. Let him face consequences publicly. Let other women know he's dangerous. Let the justice system try to do its job for once. And if it fails, if he gets out, come find me. I'll make a different choice then. Dante nodded, respect clear in his expression. Called his people. Called contacts in law enforcement. The ones who owed him. Who'd take Jason. Who'd ensure charges stuck. Who'd make sure evidence was overwhelming. Who'd guarantee prosecution happened. Police arrived. Real police. Not bought ones. Not Jason's connections. Dante's connections. Better ones. Jason was removed. Screaming. Threatening. Promising revenge. Promising he'd find her. Promising this wasn't over. Empty words. Desperate words. Words of a man who'd lost and couldn't accept it. Maria watched him go. Felt nothing. No satisfaction. No grief. No residual fear. Just emptiness. Just exhaustion. Just the overwhelming relief of ending. Of being done. Of surviving. Dante appeared beside her. It's over. He's going to prison. My lawyers are ensuring he never gets bail. Never gets out. Evidence is overwhelming. Recordings. Witnesses. Physical evidence. He's done. You're safe. For real this time. Permanently. Maria turned to him. Saw blood. His blood. From fighting Jason. For protecting her. From risking himself. You're hurt. Her hands moved to his face. Checking injuries. Assessing damage. Mothering him without permission. Without thought. Just instinct. Just care. Just feeling she couldn't name but couldn't deny. Dante caught her hands. Held them. I'm fine. You're safe. That's what matters. That's all that matters. Maria shook her head. You matter. You could have died. Could have been killed protecting me. Why? Why risk yourself? I'm nobody. Just your maid. Just. Dante pulled her close. Cut off her words with proximity. With intensity. With truth he could no longer hide. You're not nobody. Haven't been since I found you crying in my closet. Since I saw what he'd done to you. Since I promised to keep you safe. You're. He struggled with words. With admission. With vulnerability. You matter. To me. Specifically. Personally. Beyond obligation. Beyond duty. Beyond anything appropriate for employer and employee. Maria's breath caught. Understanding what he wasn't saying. What he was implying. What this meant. I thought. I was afraid to hope. Afraid to believe this was more than protection. More than you saving me like you couldn't save Elena. More than obligation. It started that way. Dante admitted. Started as saving you to redeem failing her. But became something else. Became about you specifically. About wanting to hear you laugh. About needing to see you safe. About imagining futures that included you not as staff, but as. He couldn't finish. Couldn't say it. Too much. Too fast. Too complicated. Maria said it for him. As yours. As someone who stays. Who belongs here. With you. Not working for you, but beside you. Dante's expression showed relief. Showed want. Showed everything he'd been holding back. Yes. Exactly that. If you want it. If I'm not just another man trying to control you. Trying to possess you. Trying to own you. Maria kissed him. Cut off his doubt. His fear. His worry that he was like Jason. Like Marcus. Like every man who'd hurt women. He wasn't. Was different. Was protective, not possessive. Was offering partnership, not ownership. Was giving her choice. Real choice. She chose him. Chose this. Chose staying. The mansion was damaged. Windows shattered. Walls marked with bullets. Staff traumatized. Some injured. All shaken. Dante handled it. Handled everything. Brought in counselors. Paid medical bills. Offered time off. Offered transfers if anyone wanted distance from memories. From violence. From reminder that working for him meant existing in dangerous world. Most stayed. Were loyal. Were family. Understood that danger came with protection. That Dante took care of his own. Always. Maria helped. Talked to staff. Offered comfort. Offered understanding. Offered perspective of someone who'd survived worse. Who'd emerged stronger. Who proved that trauma didn't have to be ending. Could be beginning. Could be transformation. Staff started treating her differently. Not as maid. As Dante's woman. As partner. As someone with authority. With status. With permanence. 2 weeks after Jason's arrest, Dante found Maria in the library. Reading. Recovering. Existing in safety she was slowly learning to trust. We need to talk. About your position here. About what happens next. Maria's stomach dropped. Prepared for dismissal. For being told she needed to leave. To move on. To rebuild life elsewhere now that threat was eliminated. That protection was no longer necessary. That she'd overstayed welcome. I understand. She started. If you need me to. Dante sat beside her. Interrupted. I'm offering you a position. Real position. Not maid. Not staff. Partner. In my businesses. In my life. In everything. You've proven yourself. Proven you're smart. Observant. Strong. Capable. You see things others miss. Understand people. Understand how to survive. How to fight. How to win. I need that. Need you. Not because you need protection. Because I need partnership. Need someone who challenges me. Who makes me better. Who reminds me why power matters. Who I'm protecting. Why I do this. Maria processed the offer. The magnitude. The implications. You're asking me to join your organization. To be part of your world. Permanently. Dante nodded. I'm asking you to choose me. Choose this life. Choose being with someone dangerous who does terrible things but tries to do them for right reasons. I can't offer normal. Can't offer safe exactly. Can offer protection. Partnership. Power. Purpose. Can offer being valued. Being seen. Being loved. The last word hung between them. Heavy. Important. Undeniable. Maria took his hand. I choose you. Choose this. Choose us. Not because I need saving. Because I want what we're building. want partnership, want purpose, want love that includes violence and protection and complicated morality. Want you, all of you, even the parts that scare me, especially those, because those parts are what kept me alive. What ended Jason? What gave me freedom? Dante kissed her, deep, claiming, full of everything they'd survived, everything they'd become, everything they were building. The final threat came 3 days later. One of Jason's mercenaries, the one who'd escaped, who'd survived, who had nothing left except revenge, came for Maria, came for Dante, came for blood, got caught immediately. Dante's security had been tripled, been upgraded, been made impenetrable. The mercenary never got close, never touched Maria, never accomplished anything except proving the threat was truly over. That Jason's network was destroyed. That Maria was safe. Finally, completely, permanently. They interrogated him, learned he was last, was final loose end, was ultimate threat, eliminated him. Dante handled it personally, made sure Maria never saw, never knew details, protected her from that darkness, from that violence, from that necessity. She didn't ask, didn't need to know, trusted him, trusted that protection sometimes looked like blood, sometimes required crossing lines, sometimes meant doing evil to prevent greater evil. Understood that survival in his world required accepting darkness, accepting that safety came with cost, accepting that love could coexist with violence. That protection could include killing. That being with Dante meant accepting all of him, all his methods, all his choices, all his darkness, and all his light. She accepted, chose, stayed, built future beside man who'd found her crying in his closet and decided her life mattered. Her safety mattered. She mattered. They mattered. Together, they were building something. Something dangerous. Something beautiful. Something real. Maria was in the library again. Her new favorite place. 3 weeks since Jason's arrest. 2 weeks since the last mercenary's elimination. Finally breathing. Finally believing safety was real. Was permanent. Was lasting. She heard the window shatter behind her. Spun. Found the final associate. The one they'd missed. The one who'd been smarter. More patient. More dedicated to revenge. He had a gun. Pointed at her. For Jason. His voice was cold. Professional. This is for what you cost him. What you cost all of us. Maria didn't freeze. Didn't cower. Didn't revert to victim. Dropped behind the couch. Dante's training activating. Muscle memory from hours of self-defense. Hours of preparation. Hours of learning to fight instead of hide. The associate fired. Missed. She was already moving. Grabbed the lamp. Heavy. Expensive. Threw it. Connected with his head. Staggered him. Gave her seconds. She ran toward the door. He recovered. Chased. Caught her arm. She used his momentum. Twisted. Broke his grip. Struck his throat. Techniques Dante had drilled into her. Techniques she'd practiced until they were instinct. The associate gagged. Stumbled. Gave her more space. More time. Alarms were blaring. Security responding. But she wasn't waiting. Wasn't relying on rescue. Was fighting. Was surviving. Was proving she transformed from prey to something else. Something harder. Something that fought back. The associate lunged again. She dodged. Grabbed a bookend. Marble. Swung. Connected with his temple. He dropped. Not dead. Unconscious. Bleeding. Neutralized. Security burst in. Found her standing over him. Breathing hard. Victorious. Whole. Dante arrived seconds later. Gun drawn. Ready for war. Found the threat already ended. Found Maria standing strong. Not broken. Not scared. Not hiding. She met his eyes. I handled it. Didn't need saving. Needed backup maybe, but handled the immediate threat myself. Proved I'm not just victim you protect. I'm partner who fights beside you. Dante's expression showed pride. Showed love. Showed respect deeper than anything he'd felt before. You're extraordinary. Never doubted it. But watching you fight, watching you win, watching you become this, it's everything. Maria gestured to the unconscious associate. Is this the last one? The final threat? The end? Dante nodded. Had his people verify. Triple check. Confirm. This was it. Jason's entire network destroyed. Every associate dead or imprisoned. Every threat eliminated. Every danger ended. Maria was safe. Finally. Truly. Completely. They interrogated the associate when he woke. Confirmed he was last. Was acting alone. Was final revenge attempt. Eliminated him permanently. Dante handled it personally. Made sure Maria never saw. Never knew details. Protected her from that specific darkness, even while respecting her newfound strength. The contradiction was beautiful. Was partnership. Was him recognizing she could handle violence while still wanting to shield her from its worst forms. Was love that included protection without diminishing capability. Maria appreciated it, understood it, accepted it, knew she was strong enough to fight, strong enough to kill if necessary. But grateful she didn't have to. Grateful Dante handled the parts she couldn't. The parts that required specific ruthlessness, specific darkness, specific willingness to cross lines she'd never fully cross. That evening, Dante found her in his closet. Their closet now. She'd moved from guest room to his room week ago. Slowly integrating. Slowly building life together. She was organizing his suits. Touching the fabric where she'd hidden. Where she'd cried. Where everything had changed. He stood in the doorway. Watching. Remember this space. Where I found you. Where everything started. Maria turned. Smiled. Hard to forget. I was convinced you'd kill me. Convinced finding me here meant death. Instead it meant life. Meant safety. Meant everything. Dante entered. Pulled her close. I was so angry finding someone in my space. Then saw your fear. Your blood. Your terror. And everything changed. Couldn't be angry. Could only be protective. Could only want to eliminate whatever made you that scared. Could only want to make you safe. They stood together among expensive suits. Among the place that had been hiding spot. That had become symbol. That represented transformation. Maria spoke quietly. I've been thinking about that night. About how terrified I was of you. How I thought you were just another dangerous man. How wrong I was. You were dangerous. But not to me. Never to me. You're dangerous to things that threaten me. That's different. That's everything. Dante kissed her forehead. I've been thinking too. About how finding you changed me. Changed my priorities. Changed what matters. I built empire on power. On fear. On control. Thought that was success. Then found you crying. Found someone who needed protection, not intimidation. Found purpose beyond power. Found you. Found us. The vulnerability in his voice was rare. Precious. Reserved for private moments. For her specifically. Maria traced his jaw. Gentle. Loving. I love you. Said it clearly. Without hesitation. Without doubt. I love you for saving me. But more for seeing me. For making me strong instead of just safe. For giving me choice. For respecting my decisions, even when they scare you. For being partner, not just protector. For proving love can coexist with danger. Can include violence. Can be complicated and messy and still real. Still worth it. Still everything. Dante's response was action. Dropped to one knee right there. In the closet. In the place where everything started. Pulled out a ring. Simple. Beautiful. Exactly her style, though she'd never mentioned preferences. Marry me. Build life with me. Not as mate I protect. As partner I love. As equal I respect. As woman who saved herself while letting me help. As everything you are and everything we're becoming. Say yes. Maria didn't hesitate. Yes. Absolutely yes. Choose you. Choose this. Choose building life in dangerous world with dangerous man who makes me feel safer than anyone else ever has. Choose partnership. Choose love. Choose us. He slipped the ring on. Stood. Kissed her. Deep. Claiming. Full of everything they'd survived. Everything they'd become. Everything they were promising. The closet that had been hiding place became proposal site. Became symbol of transformation. Became their private story. Their origin. Their reminder that sometimes the worst moments lead to best outcomes. That sometimes terror transforms into love. That sometimes the person you fear most becomes the person you trust completely. They emerged from the closet together. Emerged engaged. Emerged committed. Emerged ready to face whatever came next. Staff found out immediately. News traveling fast. Reactions mixed. Some shocked. Some delighted. Some had suspected. All eventually accepting. understanding that Maria had earned her place, had proven herself, had become family not through birth but through surviving, through fighting, through choosing to stay when she could have left, through loving Dante not despite his darkness, but including it, understanding it, accepting it. Wedding planning started. Small ceremony. Just family. Just people who mattered. Just vows that meant something because they'd been earned. Because they came after surviving. After transformation. After choosing each other repeatedly. Maria kept working as maid. Dante tried to stop her. Tried to insist she didn't need to. That his money was hers. That working was beneath her new status. She refused. Insisted. Needed the normalcy. Needed connection to who she'd been. Needed reminder that she'd built herself before he found her. That she'd survived alone before surviving with him. That cleaning his house was choice, not obligation. Was maintaining connection to reality. To work. To self-worth not derived from his wealth or status, but from her own capability. Her own value. Her own identity separate from being his wife. He understood eventually. Respected it. Stopped fighting it. Let her maintain the job while building other roles. Other identities, other purposes. She started working with abuse survivors, using her story, her experience, her transformation, helping other women see that survival was possible, that safety existed, that love after trauma was real, that you could be both strong and scared, both capable and needing help, both survivor and still healing. Her work mattered, made difference, gave her purpose beyond Dante, beyond their relationship, beyond being protected and loved. She was building herself, building legacy, building meaning from suffering. Jason rotted in prison. Life sentence. No parole possibility. Multiple charges. Multiple victims coming forward after Maria's courage. After seeing prosecution succeed. After believing justice might actually happen. He wrote letters. Tried to manipulate. Tried to gaslight from distance. Maria never read them. Never responded. Never acknowledged his existence. He was past, was dead to her, was irrelevant to her present and future. She'd survived him, defeated him, moved beyond him. That was ultimate victory. Not his imprisonment, but her freedom, her joy, her life built on foundation he tried to destroy but couldn't. Her resilience proving stronger than his violence. Her love proving deeper than his hatred. Her survival proving absolute. 6 months after the engagement, they married. Small ceremony in the mansion's garden. Same garden where she'd been baked. Where trap had been set. Where Jason's assault had failed. Symbolic. Reclaiming space. Transforming it from battleground to sacred ground. From place of fear to place of love. Dante's family attended. Small. Close. Accepted Maria completely. Loved her for making him human again. For bringing softness to hardness. For reminding him that power had purpose beyond accumulation, beyond fear, beyond control. Maria had no family, just Jenna, her one friend who'd maintained contact, who'd believed her, who'd helped when she could, who stood as maid of honor, crying through the ceremony, crying for joy, for survival, for love. Maria had found an impossible place with impossible man. The vows were traditional, simple, but underneath were promises built on foundation of survived trauma, of chosen partnership, of love that included violence and protection and complicated morality and absolute commitment. Reception was intimate. Music, dancing, joy. Dante held Maria close during first dance, whispered in her ear, "Thank you for hiding in my closet, for being brave enough to interrupt my life, for changing everything, for making me better, for choosing me, for staying, for loving me despite everything, despite who I am, what I do, the world I live in." Maria whispered back, "Thank you for finding me, for seeing me, for protecting me, for making me strong, for giving me choice, for loving me not despite my past, but including it, for proving safety existed, for being everything I needed when I didn't know what I needed, for building this with me, this life, this love, this us." They danced. They celebrated. They existed in moment of pure joy, pure peace, pure love hard-won and deeply earned. That night, they returned to the closet. Their tradition now, their private space, their reminder, stood among suits where she'd hidden, where she cried, where everything had changed, where fear had transformed to safety, where victim had become survivor, where maid had become wife, where hiding had led to finding, to being found, to being seen, to being loved. They made love there, among expensive fabric and painful memories transformed into beautiful ones, among the space that represented their entire story, their origin, their transformation, their proof that sometimes the worst moments create best outcomes, that sometimes hiding in terror leads to being found in love, that sometimes the person who scares you becomes person who saves you, that sometimes Mafia boss discovers Maid in his closet and instead of anger finds purpose, instead of violation finds partner, instead of intrusion finds everything. Maria Santos hid in a closet crying from an abuser who'd hunted her for 3 years. Dante Russo found her and decided her safety mattered more than his privacy, his reputation, his carefully controlled world. Together, they proved that sometimes the last place you'd hide is exactly where you need to be found. That the person whose reputation terrifies you might be the one who saves you from what truly destroys you. That love can emerge from fear. That strength can be built from brokenness. That protection can transform into partnership. That hiding can lead to being found in ways that matter. That sometimes a closet full of expensive suits becomes a sanctuary. That sometimes crying leads to being held. That sometimes terror transforms into safety. That sometimes the maid becomes the queen, not through fairy tale, but through surviving, through fighting, through choosing the dangerous man who proved himself safe in all the ways that mattered. Would you have hidden in a mafia boss's closet? Would you have trusted someone dangerous to protect you from something? Subscribe right now, because the next story is absolutely insane. Share this with someone who believes in finding safety in unexpected places and love in impossible circumstances. More stories of survival, protection, and transformative love.